welfare of teachers gain. For kids' rights we will fight. The laws unjust, so stand we must. We'll stand up and unite.
Some things never change. Labor showdowns and British Columbia just seem to go together.
We will stand hand in hand. Education's not a game.
This time it's the 38,000 teachers of BC who are not just on strike, but on strike illegally. To the government, she's a criminal, but to the teachers, she's a hero. Ginny is Ginny Sims, holder of a black belt in judo and the president of the BC Teachers Federation.
I am so proud to be a teacher in British Columbia.
She is defying the government of Premier Gordon Campbell by taking the teachers out on strike in the face of legislation and a court order ordering them back to work.
When I look into the eyes of my granddaughter, who is in grade 4 this year, I want to be able to face her and say, we did everything we could to defend your education. And that's why we're taking this stand.
There needs to be dialogue instead of rhetoric.
Taking a stand is going to get expensive for the teachers, and soon. A Supreme Court judge has already found the union in contempt, and tomorrow penalties will be imposed on the union, most likely heavy fines daily until the teachers go back. If they don't, Ginny Sims could face jail time.
Can you pay the price? You're going to be facing fines pretty soon. Maybe you'll end up going to jail.
We as teachers are prepared to take the consequences, and on behalf of my members, I am prepared to go to jail, if that's what it means.
At the heart of this dispute is this, a very simple, very brief, one-page piece of legislation called Bill Number 12, which imposes a binding contract upon the teachers. It does that by simply extending their existing contract through June of 2006 with no wage increase. The government acted to impose that contract because it says that bargaining with the teachers is simply impossible.
The parties had met 35 times, hadn't agreed on a single item in that time. Bargaining hasn't worked between the teachers union and their employer for the better part of a decade and a half. Let's fix that and get on in the spring with negotiating an agreement that will include a fair and reasonable settlement. I won't try to mince words here.
Labour Minister Mike de Jong is the point man on this issue for the Campbell government, and he's refusing to negotiate anything with the union as long as the strike goes on.
Get back into the classroom and start teaching.
But that right to negotiate is itself the core issue. The union says stripping teachers of the ability to bargain is wrong. The government says breaking the law by going on strike is wrong.
What kind of example does that set? And we hear these excuses now about how we're on something akin to a civil rights crusade. It will be an interesting discussion when this is over, and it will eventually end, when a student says to a teacher, you know, I disagree with Canada's drug laws. I think those are unjust laws. I mean, what is the test for legitimacy?
Well, here we are, teachers of this province, forced by the actions of a government that has imposed more punitive legislation on us. We're taking a stand. We're taking a stand to protest this unjust legislation. We're engaged in civil disobedience because we have drawn a line.
Still, the right to bargain is not the only issue. The teachers want a 15% wage increase over 3 years. Mike de Jong says all the public sector unions are getting zero.
We negotiated 130 agreements with hundreds of thousands of working men and women who took 0, 0, and 0. They took 3 zeros.
Teachers, like other working people, deserve a fair and reasonable salary increase. We've tabled a reasonable figure. It's an opening figure for negotiations, and we're willing to go to a table to reach a fair settlement.
Another key issue, though, is class size. The teachers want to bargain about that, too, saying classes in BC are getting too big and even unmanageable.
I'll give you an example. In Nanaimo, before 2002, you could only put 2 special needs students in any given class. Now, when I go to Nanaimo, and whether I'm in Vancouver or Burnaby or Richmond or in Dawson Creek, you can have 12 in a class with 32, 37, 35 or 26 kids. And I would challenge anybody to come and show me how it's possible to teach a class with that kind of a composition. It's very difficult for all the students in the class, and we, the teachers, are saying we don't have the resources we need in order to do our job.
It's not a bargaining issue. It's not a collective agreement issue. It's a fundamental educational policy issue that we need to work on. I don't think
the teachers shouldn't have a say on?
They should, in fact, they should have a big part in that discussion, but they're not the only ones that care about it.
We'll negotiate, come to the plate, with solutions all can see. Give us supplies and classroom size and support our special needs.
Still, the fundamental question is whether the teachers will have the right to bargain about anything, or whether legislation and back-to-work orders are the new model for public sector unions.
But we will stand hand in hand.
In BC, that's definitely how it looks. Cory Malewski, CBC News, Vancouver.